it's,
Oh,
you know, it's like we're not that serious about
Okay.
continuity.
Yeah, unfortunately, everything you
our-
were saying
our,
just then probably doesn't apply. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay.
No. That's why I'm interested. You know.
Yeah, one of our sayings on one of the films we did was like, well, it's quite a common saying is "fuck continuity" because a lot of times, obviously, you can. Well, obviously, you can't fix everything, but depending how it's edited, you know, continuity doesn't get noticed by sort of Joe Public. You know, it's only these websites with mentalists.
Yeah, but do you really make films in that vein? Like, I mean, for me, every single time I watch that film afterwards, I'd be like,
Oh yeah,
that was fucked.
Yeah,
I fucked
like,
that up. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't possibly have a continuity error in a film.
For the number of times I'd watched Star Wars and I'd never seen that stormtrooper bump his head ever.
Yeah.
But anyway, but really the question here was, and we've asked Riyadh this previously as well, was if kind of your career plan or your master plan, if it all works out for you, sort of 10, 15 years down the line, what would you hope to be sort of doing in the industry or whatever, you know?
I don't really have, you know, I don't really imagine myself being Steven Soderbergh or anyone, you know, really big in the industry. I don't, you know, even Danny Boyle or something. I don't imagine getting to that stage necessarily. You know, if I did, that would be fantastic. All I really want to do is I want to be involved. I mean, it's like anything like this, you know, you don't really make it on your own, you make it as a generation, right? So all I really care about is being on set with other people and making good films. And if I'm doing that in 10 years and it's paying my mortgage, then I'll be very, very happy. If I'm up there, if I'm a DP or if I'm a director or a writer, yeah, that's my dream come true, absolutely. You know, it's
Take it as it comes.
Yeah, you know, I just want to keep. I mean, I'm kind of living the dream right now because I'm hanging around with loads of really cool people making films. They're small films, but I don't work a shitty office job. Do you know what I mean? I do get to use my camera every single day. I edit every single day. I do make enough money to cover my rent from it. And it affords me the opportunity to make films, and some of those films are films that I'm really excited about, and I want to get out there. So maybe one of these days, I'll make a film that, you know, is good or people like or something like that, you know.
And so if you had kind of one liner or one very short piece of advice for people trying to make a film now.
Yeah.
You know, they've never made a film, whatever, you know, but they're interested. What would you advise them to do?
My one piece of advice, I think a lot of people, I'll try and make it short actually, learn how to use a camera properly, and then use it as much as possible. That's my advice. Yeah. And beyond that, if you want more, really think about story as well. I see so many short films that are like maybe beautifully shot or they're interesting or something, but the structure of them, the narrative is just, you know, it goes nowhere, or the characters aren't really developed. Really think about how this story is going to be received by the people that are watching it. So, yeah, the two most important things are you're telling us this is a storytelling medium. Tell a good story and then shoot it well. Learn how to shoot it well.
And I just want to ask you how you plan on, you say like this thing you're making now, I asked Riyadh this question as well. I'm interested how, you know, what you're going to do with your films, whether you're going to put them in festivals or how you're going to break through, because we were talking, there's so many people making short films that basically you make it and then there is a danger of it sort of becoming, well, maybe you get into a couple of festivals, or maybe you don't get into a couple of festivals, but you put it online, there's so many films, how do you break through all that noise of so
I think you just, I mean, my hope is to do, with the short films that I'm making, is to do well at festivals, to get some notice at festivals, to be recognised as someone who should be on set, someone who can add something to someone else's production, or who deserves funding for one of their future productions. So, you know, probably like most writers or filmmakers, I've got a big tank of writing. Do you know what I mean? Just like God knows how many scripts that probably will never see the light of day. You know, but if someone Jesus, if I won a Palme d'Or, let's say, or something ridiculous, which obviously is very unlikely,
say
but
never.
like, you know,
I was
if
just
I
saying,
did,
yeah, it's interesting that you think that's ridiculous.
well, you know, maybe in years and years to come, but right now I'm not there, I'd say. But you know, if you did win something like that, you're going to get noticed. You're going to get attention from other filmmakers. You're more like, you know, you've got that on your CV. You've got that, you know,
But you
to
could
say,
say
well,
if
look,
you're
I'm capable, and I have this script here, and you know, can I get funding or can I get distribution for this project that I've already made, or whatever you're looking at, you know.
Well, you know, like the human caterpillar.
God, yeah.
But no, just thinking, because you said about because you know we are talking about breaking through the noise. I did think that was pretty. I only watched that the other day.
It was successful. It's very
So
successful. Yeah.
successful is in, you know, like all it is really is a few people with a few bandages, like walking around on all fours.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
the
it's a
idea
terrible
was-
film. I mean, I happily say that A Human Caterpillar is an awful piece of
Okay,
cinema.
we don't need to talk about that film so much. But
No,
why,
but
why
what
not
I'm-
just, why not just
but
get
any-
loads of knockers in your film? And,
Yeah, anything like that. So
Yeah.
another good example of that is a film called A Serbian Film, which is very, very gory, very extreme. I just wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't want to make it myself. I mean, yeah, you could. I don't know, make the best porn film ever, or the bloodiest horror film ever, or I don't know, you know.
As a vehicle, though.
Yeah,
So
another
say
one
as
was
a
what was
vehicle.
Bête Noire or something like that, the French one that actually had real sex in the film. What I think that was what it's called.
But say like that guy though who made the Serbian film, maybe he thought, "Shit, I'm so fed up of people not watching what I want to show them.
Yeah,
I'm going to make this film. Then they'll all be interested in what I make next."
yeah, yeah. I just fair enough. I mean, if that's your aim, I'm going to make something just to shock people or just to get some notice, so that I guess that's a clever marketing technique.
That's what I'm talking about.
But
baby.
it wouldn't
Marketing.
really enter my. You know, I'm not good enough at marketing and doing stuff like that. Maybe I need someone else to go, Dan, you should be making a film about, you know,
Knockers.
your knockers or
Just get a big schlong in it and double
yeah,
it on
you,
YouTube.
you know, women in affairs. That's really hot right now, or something.
But
I
then,
don't know,
but then
like,
would you do that? 'Cause
do a
that's-
wedding story because
Is that any different from doing like corporate stuff where
no, I
then you lose your creative vision?
At least
to a
corporate
point?
stuff is honest, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, so if you make a promo video for a nightclub or a construction firm or something, it's an advert. You're making an advert, and everyone knows what an advert is. People watch an advert going, "All right, okay, you're trying to sell me a product. That's fine." If you make a Serbian film, you're either making a film because you think that's good, which is fine. I mean, I'm not a big fan of that kind of level of gore and pornography and stuff, really. But that's fine if you want to make that. But if you're making it, as you said, just as a marketing technique to get noticed, then that's totally dishonest. You're making something just to be.
But lots of people
not because you're interested in it, not because you want to tell that story, but because
Quite
you
a
want
few
to.
people have seen the Serbian. I've
Yeah,
heard people
yeah.
talk about it and they got some enjoyment out of it. So
Maybe some people, yeah, fair enough. I'm not, yeah, but that's fine. You know, if you made that film because you wanted to make that film, and you made it and people enjoyed it, of course it's fine. But earlier you said
yeah, but
maybe he did that to get notice, right? And
but
then
it's
that
just a
is what I'm saying.
byproduct. People enjoy it because people are going to enjoy like loads of knockers or. You know, people pooing in people's mouths. You're going to get people watching it. School kids would be mad for it.
Sure, yeah, they might be, but yeah, I don't want to make that kind of film, really. Whether for marketing purposes or
Just-
narrative purposes.
Okay, so just, I mean, sort of strayed a bit, but I'm just curious about marketing. So this film you're making, in the next one you're making, for
Yeah.
instance, do you ever think who's going to watch this?
Who do I think will watch A Ghost Story? I hope that basically the people that I want to see it are other filmmaking peers. I can't expect to reach an audience of 60 million. I can't expect that, right? That's crazy.
Why not?
Because it doesn't have the distribution to reach that kind of audience. It's not
But
going to be screening it.
surely you just put it on the internet and then.
Oh,
anyone
okay.
can watch
Well,
it.
you could put it on the internet, but then unless it became viral, you're still not looking at, a crazy audience like 60 million would be EastEnders. It's something prime time TV
Or something with
you know.
someone pooing in someone's mouth.
Or something
Yeah.
where someone poos in
Yeah,
someone's mouth.
yeah,
Yeah. I would like my work to be recognised not on the basis of people pooing in other people's mouths. That's sort of like been like an ambition of mine.
So it's like
from the
to
beginning.
me, it sounds like there's it would compromise what you'd want to be associated with. I mean, there
Yeah,
is,
I can make a porn movie, right, and probably make money from it, right? But I'm not going to do it. I could, don't you just do the things that you want to do in your life as much as you can, right? Sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do, fair enough, but you try and do the things you can. I don't particularly want to work in a bank or in advertising or whatever, so I don't, that might be more money than what I'm making right now, but that's neither here nor there. More people might know my name if I worked in another industry, but it's irrelevant. I want to make films, and I want to make films that I like, so I try and do that as much as possible.
No, I totally get you. I was mainly trying to get somewhere with that because I do think that's something that's a difference between. That's not something that a lot of people I'm talking to even think about, and that is that's what drives. That is all Hollywood is. Or that is all the big. They don't just make films for art's
No,
sake.
they're making it to make money.
Whereas
Yeah,
everyone,
of course they are,
if you talk to anyone here, they'll be talking about their favourite directors and how they like scenes and everything. Whereas they're talking about how much cash are we
They're talking
make
about
out of
bottom
this
line
stuff?
all the time.
Yeah.
Of course they are.
And no one really thinks about who their audience is, who this is aimed at. No one really thinks in those terms, and I'm just curious as to how you lot see that. Because it's also important for the amount of people that are going to watch your films. So putting a big schlong in there might get you loads of.
We look at people like Rob Savage or any kind of any independent filmmaker that has come up through making good films. You know what I mean? And people like Richard Linklater, I guess, or Robert Rodriguez, or David Lynch, or whoever you want to name. People that are really serious about film, and they've gone ahead and put, bloody hell, Eraserhead took David Lynch 7 years to make it, and God knows how much hassle and stress and all the rest of it.
You don't just think he's got relatives that work in the studio?
Wait, no, he doesn't. But yeah, and Robert Rodriguez as well. I mean, he went to, he had, he actually had like medical testing on himself. Do you know what I mean? To earn enough money to be able to, that kind of thing.
Would you do that? Would
course.
you get medical testing to raise enough money to make a film?
Yeah. I mean, I've prostituted myself already to Riyadh on several occasions. Just to make enough money to make this film. But no, I mean, I would. You do what you can to raise money for a film. But that's your aim, isn't it? You look at people like that and you go, well, they had a particular vision. They wanted to make something really good, and they didn't really care about all that other stuff. They just wanted to make something really, really good, and then they did. And then off the back of that, they made more stuff, and then they got noticed. And, if you're talented enough at something, then you should get some notice.
Well, that's what I always used to say. That I think if somebody's good enough,
and you work hard enough as well. You're not dissuaded.
If your end product is that good, that people say you've got to see this.
Yeah, exactly.
Then lots of people will see it. Or if you make it available, or if you however it is, even if you pay for it. But if it's not that good, you're always going to get your friends saying, "Oh yeah, it's pretty good." But they're not going to say to their friends, "You've got to see this." Do your head in.
Yeah. And that's the aim. Obviously, it's making something that anyone watches it and goes, "Wow, this is great. This is truly moved me." Or it's Riyadh's film quite recently. We had someone look at it. They didn't know anything about it, and they were in a state after watching it. They were crying. Do you know what I mean? Like after watching Riyadh's film.
That's brilliant. Isn't it?
And
that's why I make films.
what better compliment could you have? You know.
Were they on acid?
I remember. I remember actually. The first film I ever made. I was 17. It was a terrible, terrible film.
What was it called?
It's called Verisimilitude. Reality on screen. Verisimilitude.
Have you got a clip that we can drop in there?
Yeah, I can send you a clip probably. It was shot on VHS. It was a big clunky camera with a VHS tape that you chucked in the side and went like that. And it was very pretentious and arty, and it was about God and things. And we actually screened it at the college that I was studying at the time. They did like an end of year exhibition of all of the students' work and stuff. They put my film up, you know, just sort of playing on repeat over and over in one of the halls, and it was just on like a projector thing. And then they had like a comments list, you know, in the room, and at least half of the comments were things like, "That was the most disturbing thing I've ever seen in my life. Oh my God, what the hell was that about?" And I couldn't have been happier, especially being 17 years old, you know. And I was just like, yes, you know, these people actually watched it, and they were like, you know, they had some emotional reaction to it. I mean, obviously, you know, a bit of a different level now, and like Riyadh's film Hannah is breathtaking, you know, and A Hero's Journey and things like that as well. They're just fantastic to watch. You know.
Do you think it's worth doing a similar kind? You know, take your film, put it on in a town hall or something, and get 20 or 30 people to come? Or
Well, I mean, that's not. Yeah, I'd love to. You know, I love and hate people watching my stuff, because it's like you're all anxious and knotted up, and people are looking at it, and you're like, oh God, it's terrible, and what are they going to say and stuff. But then, of course, you get feedback, and then people are like, oh, I thought about this when I watched it, or I did that, oh, you know, I really like that. And that's the best feeling in the world. Of course it is. You know what I mean? Someone else has looked at something you've made, and they've got something from it,
and you believe
wow.
that they actually do.
Yeah, if you believe, if you believe that
you know what I mean, because
being
there
genuine,
are
of course.
people who like you are
yeah, the worst response ever is, oh, yeah, man, that's really good. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking
and
about.
then anyway, yeah, you don't want that. But
no, it just sounds quite exciting. You know, the sixth form. How many kids? Like 300 kids or something?
Oh, there would have been, like, as in parents, it was like people coming to view.
You know, your film playing.
Yeah, you know.
And now it's a bit like.
Goes up on YouTube or something.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? That just doesn't seem as
different thing, yeah, but I mean, we do screenings for our films and stuff, you know. Obviously, Sam's got Britflick coming up, and Riyadh's going to screen test.
It seems to be hard to get people to come along, though, doesn't it? I mean, I'm not.
Well, but at festivals, it's not hard. Do you know what I mean? Like, other people are doing that job for you, and you're getting hundreds, maybe thousands of people that might glimpse your film, and they might be people that you really respect. And I think it's a weird thing. People have this sort of idea of like, well, there's Hollywood, and then there's indie filmmaking or something like that. There's this huge, and you're either that thing or you're that thing.
That's what I was just saying.
But the truth is, really, these are all just like people. And most of the directors and stuff are quite nervous, normal people that are just sort of making films, and they've been brought into the industry somehow. Yeah, it's a different thing when you talk about big-time producers and I don't know, studio executives and Harvey Weinstein and stuff like that. They're different kinds of people, probably. You know,
expensive fish.
You know, they're just a different side of the industry, aren't they? But I imagine that the Danny Boyles and even Steven Spielberg and people like that, they just want to make good films. Do you know what I mean? I imagine that to be the case. I don't think they're thinking about.
I think it's probably a different set of restrictions rather than being worried about how you're going to make the film because you haven't got enough money to get a gigantic inflatable can.
Yeah.
It's more that you've got to, you know, because it's got to make so much money, it has to have a few elements in, which is why I was talking about maybe. Well, it's good, but we need knockers in there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it has to be knockers, but it has to appeal to. It probably has to tick a certain amount of boxes, and that's probably when you're direct on that level. That's where it probably becomes a little bit frustrating because you probably get feedback from the marketing people and the people saying it's good, but you just need a little bit more cleavage in that scene, and also, you know, we need some young girl saying the C word. because that will give us something to put out on Twitter, and then all the kids will be all over it.
Yeah.
You know,
It's an interesting thing because in some ways we're probably being as creative now in our careers at the moment. We're being more creative now than we probably ever will get a chance to be in the future. Do you know what I mean? Darren Aronofsky recently said something like 99% of my job is just